Welcome to this video lecture on factual cultural knowledge and interpretive cultural knowledge. We can categorize cultural knowledge into two types. The first is factual cultural knowledge. The second is interpretive cultural knowledge. Both are critical to understanding cultures at a deep enough level to market to different cultures effectively. Factual cultural knowledge means we understand some basics about a culture. An example would be that some countries like the color red, such as Japan and China. Another example would be that Chinese cultures do not like the number 4. This is based on the fact that the number 4 is pronounced the same as the most common word for death in the Chinese language. In the West, we tend to avoid the number 13. In some Latin cultures, such as Brazil, women like their hair very long. Although hair is a fashion cultural preference, which means it will be trendy and change overnight. So in this video lecture, we will usually examine slower changing preferences and try to avoid numerous fashion examples. Interpretive cultural knowledge is the ability to understand in depth as well as appreciate different cultural traits. At this level, we can appreciate the nuances for these traits and their patterns. It requires insight and deeper understanding. It may require knowledge of how the trait became a trait and definitely requires experience with a culture to interpret. An example is the way time is viewed around the world. Germany is a very monochronic and very punctual society. However, these are not the same concept. Monochronic means doing one thing at a time. This impacts many things in Germany, including the fact that Germans prefer their office doors closed, so they can focus on a task without interruption. They do not believe in the open door policy and the basis for this is this monochronic belief. Whereas German punctuality means that trains run on time, in fact, within a minute or two. And professors might lock a classroom door a few minutes after the class has started. Although the locking part is probably based on monochronic beliefs with the few minutes parts being punctuality. Your first video quiz question is, what are the two categories of cultural knowledge of concern to marketers? Please choose one of the 4 answers below the video in Canvas for question number 1. Your answers will be automatically graded and entered into Canvas grade totals. You can pause the video at this time if you need more time to answer this question. You may also rewind the video if you need to re-examine the previously presented material. As previously mentioned, the number 4 is unlucky in Chinese cultures. However, what does this mean to a marketer? When can we use the number 4 and when must we avoid it? Another topic we will address is color. Red is very popular in much of Asia, especially in Japan, China, Macau, Hong Kong, Taiwan. However, there are many shades of red. So, which shade of red should we use and which product should be red, and are there any products that should avoid red or maybe only be dark red? Excuse me. To answer these questions, we must use interpretive knowledge. We will start with numbers and then move on to colors. We will look at number 4 the most. We now know that 4 is somewhat synonymous with death. So what product or services might be more affected by the underlying meaning of 4? Well, phone numbers are very personal, and we keep them for a long time. A 4 in your phone number is almost always very bad in all Chinese cultures. When I moved to Macau, I was given a list of several thousand phone numbers to choose from, for free, but they all had 4 in them. I was given this list since the phone company needed to use the numbers with a 4, and I was a foreigner and probably wouldn't mind. The same happened with my license plate for my car. Even though I asked for no number 4s, my plate had 2 4s in it. Many parts of Asia, people pay extra for license plates with 8s in them. Sometimes a lot of money. Behind me is the Hong Kong version of a vanity plate. A plate with many 8s can cost as much as $500 or more. Chinese culture also like 5s and 9s, so the plate behind me with 3 8s and 1 5 is very costly. So how about a home address or the 4th floor of a condo? Sometimes we might need to use a 4 in a building address. Well, If it is necessary, then a real estate agent may find themselves pricing these properties slightly below the market or renting them all to foreigners. Fours in hotel elevators are a definite no-no. Behind me, you can see that the 4 is removed and the elevator has no level 13 or level 14. In fact, I have yet to see a hotel elevator in China or Hong Kong or Macau with a 13th or 14th floor. I do see a 4th floor sometimes, but it always has no guest rooms. It will only have a restaurant or a spa, but no guest rooms. So, can I have a list of students and one of them be the 4th? Sure, this happens and is acceptable. One reason it is acceptable is that it must be done to count correctly. Second, it's a temporary number. Temporary 4s tend to be more acceptable. However, I would never start calling the 4th student on the list number 4 in class. Hey, you, number 4! Yeah, you, number 4! As for product prices, well, this is also temporary and is for the most part okay. However, for bigger priced items, we will still see a tendency to use 8s. As you can see behind me, this special promotion price list for a supermarket, we see lots of 8s and no 4s. However, if we search the shelves, we will find a few 4s, and this will not diminish the sale of those items. Your second video quiz question is, which answer lists 3 incorrect ways to use number 4 when marketing in China? Please choose one of the 4 answers below the video in Canvas for question number 2. Once again, you may pause or rewind the video if you so desire. So how about colors? Chinese love red, so we will focus on red, plus a few other Asian countries like red. Red in China is associated with luck and fire. Of course, luck is good, and fire can be good or bad. So when do we use red? Well, red on money is obviously good, and on the flag, that's good. The Chinese flag is red with their second favorite color, gold. All right, and we will also see a lot of red in banners, drapes, carpets, etc. As you can see behind me, the banner is red and gold. The float is a orangish red with some red trimmings. We also see some red shades in the crowd, so not everything is red, but there is definitely some red. At ceremonial gatherings, outside and inside ceremonial buildings, and so on, we see lots and lots of red. Okay, in fact, almost anything traditional will be red with some gold. That includes like traditional garb and other things, the silk dresses and things like that. Japan also likes red. Red in Japan is associated with a baby's red cheeks, flowers, ceremonies, and so on. Japan also uses red in their flag, on their buildings, their passports, etc. So, in which supermarkets will we see the most red? Well, we will see red in a lot of the world. However, we will probably see the most red in mainland China. A nice example is behind me. In Japanese supermarkets, we will see some red, but not much more than we might in the United States or Europe. And this goes for Taiwan too. Sure, some red, but I also might mistake this shelf for United States if I did not see the Chinese characters. So which products should we use red in Asia and which countries? For coffee, not so much red in Taiwan or Japan, but we still might see red in China. Taiwan tends to like browns and dark blues. However, we sometimes see a dark red container for coffee in Taiwan. As for cars, red is a no-no. This can be attributed to the fire part of red. A red car is seen as trying to stand out, which is also a no-no, as well as unsafe, the fire part. Of course, I bought a red car in Macau since I got a discount, and I drove around my car with my MO 4014 license plate. This is an example of 3 different coffees in Taiwan. As you can see, the colors black, blue, and brown are favored. Here we have a little road in China. As you can see, if you examine closely, there are very few red cars. And if the car is red, it is more of a dark brownish red. However, we do see a little red sports car. That's me, also known as a foreigner or guaylo or gaijin. I found this Chinese traffic jams to ease my pain. That is when I compare them to my daily commute in the United States. So I'm sharing another photo with you. Can you spot the red cars? Again, not many, and if so, usually a darker brown or red. So not many red cars for a country that loves red. So how about red on a home or a building? Again, a red home stands out too much and is considered a no-no. However, red ceremonial buildings is a must, as well as billboards and banners should contain lots of red. For clothes, red is used, but sparingly, and as mentioned, with traditional garb though, lots of red, almost all red with gold embroidery. As you can see in the photo behind me, not much red clothing, and no red buildings. The red is more for accessories like a hat or a bag. As for the buildings, their accessories are also red, that is, red billboards and red banners. Can we wear red shoes in Asia? Absolutely. Perhaps more women wear red shoes than men, but even men can wear red shoes. One definite no-no is writing in red ink in China and Japan. It might be considered an insult to mark up a student paper with red ink. And even worse, to write out the student's name in red, since dead people's names are traditionally written in red ink. Of course, as a foreign instructor, you might get a pass on this type of faux pas, since they know you had no idea. And yes, I am definitely guilty of this transgression. As a Western professor, I love my red pen. I guess I better change to green ink. Your third video question is, which of the following is the best use of red in China? Please choose one of the four answers below the video in Canvas for question number 3. Once again, you may pause or rewind the video if you so desire. This concludes our video lecture on factual and interpretive knowledge. Thank you for watching.